Hello everybody and welcome to episode 6 of the Chesterfield of Dreams, and today we're going to talk about the final hurdle that we must overcome if we're going to achieve our first dream, which is promotion from the League One, which has come ever so suddenly. It's still only my first season and we are 5 games away from potentially achieving far and beyond what we were expected to do. If you look at our media prediction, we're meant to finish 23rd in the league, which is basically one below or one ahead of Crewe, and then the likes of Port Vale, you can see they're meant to finish 14th and they're automatically relegated now. But let's just take a look at the league in full. It's been a long time since we last spoke. We're now in the middle of April, and you can see it's a 3-horse race between myself. We've already got the playoff position guaranteed, mind you. Bristol City have a 3-point deficit to overcome against us, whereas the MK Dons need to win their game in hand and they'll tie our record exactly, but they have an inferior goal difference. So the ball is in our court. We just need one of the 2 promotion places, but I want the league title if at all possible. We've been beaten quite a lot in fairness to us, but we've made such a good run of it in the second half of the season. Our home record is much improved. We've now finally won more games than we've lost, but our away record continues to astound. Look at that, 13 wins, 5 draws and 3 defeats. So that's fantastic. It goes to show that some of my players, we basically had a team meeting at the start of the season. I said let's avoid relegation, and some of the players said it was too ambitious, but how wrong were they, as we're now within the 5 games. Let's take a look at our schedule. The last time we met was of course here at the 3-0 victory of the MK Dons, and we made that stick with another win against Leyton Orient. Gary Roberts scoring another crucial goal. He's probably been the underrated hero. He's 31 years old now, but he has really done a phenomenal job with 14 goals and I think another 14 assists. Let's just double check that for you now. 17 assists actually, I beg your pardon. That is phenomenal to say the least. A tough draw against Bristol City. Owen Doyle and Jay O'Shea scored twice, gives 2-1 lead there, but Bobby Reid equalised in the 72nd minute. Fox in the Box FM, you'll be disappointed with this one as we beat your Crewe Alexandra by 4-2 in a end-to-end battle, but it was Gary Roberts on a brace, Owen Doyle and Gubali Aribli scoring there. Another slobber knocker against Yeovil Town. We were 2-0 down at half time and we turned it all around in a flurry in the last 20 minutes. A double OG disaster for Aaron Martin, who had a good game otherwise, but he conceded both of those own goals, and then Charlie Dawes coming on from the bench to get a goal. So we got the comeback king achievement for that effort. I'll just confirm it for you now. I rarely ever get that achievement. Where is it? There it is, the comeback king. Absolutely delighted with that. Next to Gillingham, we got a 1-1 draw there. Probably should have won. We look at those stats in greater detail. Yeah, we probably were the better team, but we gave away a cheap goal. And had to pay for it. Notts County, another very difficult game. They took the lead and then we gave them a good team talk. Jay O'Shea and Jody Hawula stood up to the plate, but then, as we always seem to do, we gave away a late goal, but it wasn't to make too much of a difference as we came out the winners. Then our first defeat since the 24th of January came here on St. Patrick's Day, the game I mentioned in the last episode. The old manager had our tactics scouted, and the goals from Phyllis Kirk, Meller and Alacobi were good enough to beat us. A rare away disappointment. Peterborough United, another thrilling game to say the least, lots of goals, but it was Jay O'Shea, Gary Roberts and Gabli Aribli who cancelled out Connor Washington's brace. Very disappointing draw against Coventry to say the least. Jody Hawula's brace should have been the be-all and end-all, but it wasn't to be. As Sean Miller, and then a 93rd minute free kick from John Fleck equalised, and Jay O'Shea is now out for the rest of the season because of that injury. But we recovered well. We got a narrow win against Fleetwood Town, and then a clean sheet away performance to Swindon with Owen Doyle and a Richie Humphreys goal. He even assisted Owen Doyle, so he got man of the match. I was delighted with the 37-year-old Richie. But now we move on to Bradford, Sheffield United, Scunthorpe, Barnsley and Port Vale. I said some things about Scunthorpe in the media saying they're going to get relegated, and they probably will, to be honest. They are a long way back, but Jens Lehmann, who's in charge, took exception to that, even though I said there's still a reasonable chance they could survive. So obviously there could be a war of words there between myself and Jens. So the main games we need to focus on: Sheffield United and Barnsley. They're in the top 10, but Bradford won their last game 4-0, so we have to be careful. But let's just take a look at our squad very briefly. We'll look at the tactics screen. Most players are fit. We just have injuries to Jay O'Shea, as I mentioned before. He's out for 4 to 5 months, torn calf muscle. And then Drew Talbot at right back, he's not fully fit yet, so we kind of have to make exceptions. Luke O'Neill's probably tired, but we have to play him. And playing Shane Griffin at left back isn't ideal all the time, because Daniel Jones was my number one choice there, but we'll have to make do. Daniel Jones played in the last game and he's fully fit, but he was back from injury, which is good news. Sam Morsey's recovering from injury, as is I think Klukas come back from injury. I should mention the promises. I was basically 2 days away from fulfilling my promise, but he got an injury, so he decided I have to extend that promise. So I was under pressure to start playing again, and then he got another extension, and he seems to be happy at the minute. So we fingers crossed we stay tight. We move on now to the youth intake. I'll look at the transfers section actually. Transfer history, youth. So we have some good youth players coming in. Not great, I have to say, because our facilities are still on the way. One good player is the centre-back Adam Reddington. He can play in anywhere in the defence, so I really like defenders like that. And he's got great aggression, anticipation, bravery and tackling, among other things, so he has a bright future at the Spy Rights. And then another centre-back, Simon Tipple, has a reasonable report. We'll look at that in greater detail. He's got 3.5 star, but Reddington already has a gold star, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. You can look at him again if you want. Excuse me. Who else do I need to mention? Philip Rolfe has 3 star at left back, but nothing really stands out to me at the minute. Curtis Jones, no. So yeah, just scroll through. Terry Jones, winger, he could be good. Kendall Ross, no. Kevin Brennan, and Hewitt. We have a Hewitt, but no relation to Jamie, but he's from another part of England. Where was it again? Information. Sutton in Ashfield, that's where he's from, so if anyone is aware of where Sutton in Ashfield is, then let me know. But a reasonable youth intake. That's one thing I obviously need to improve, is of course our facilities. Facilities are pretty poor. We'll take a look at it in greater detail. Adequate training and adequate youth, but we've got good. The corporate facilities are great, but we have above average youth recruitment, so we need to improve that in future, especially if we're getting promoted. So fingers crossed we can manage that. Anything else I need to mention? Not that I know of. We have gone a little bit over the wage budget now, since the youths have taken a fair chunk of wages. I don't have any plans for next season. I've given everyone who needs a contract, so that's all well and good. But as you can see, you'll have to wish me the best of luck now. We'll take a look at my probably my overview here. We've played 44 games, 24 wins, 7 draws, 13 defeats, 54% win ratio. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe talk about my signings from January. Maurice DeVille's probably been disappointing, but he doesn't have very high targets to reach, since Armand Gnandoulet wasn't very good, but so far not so good for Maurice. But Shane Griffin has done a reasonable job, 6.79, and he's played 13 times, so he's been a very astute signing. Who else should I mention? Gary Deegan hasn't been great, I should say. He's played 7 starts with 6 substitute appearances, 6.65, but then again, with all those injuries to my midfielders, he has been somewhat decent. And who else do I need to mention? I think you've met pretty much the rest of the other signings. Rafael Calve, he's still absolutely phenomenal. But credit where credit's due to the likes of Tommy Lee, Jimmy Ryan. He doesn't get much credit, and he's been phenomenal. And of course Gary Roberts, mentioned him. Tendai Darikwa and Gabriel Arribli are fighting for each other's positions, so we'll keep an eye on that. But poor Aaron Chapman had a go. He just had a query saying he's not getting first team football, but he's happy to stay for the time being. But he really, I think I will let him go at the end of the season just to see if I can get a better backup. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that needs to be said. I'll come back if the title is on the line, and for the love of God, I hope we don't bottle it on the last day. But if there is any game where the title is on the line, I will livecom that if we need a particular result or not, and we'll just carry on until the next game. But if we do end up just getting the third place, I'll be very upset. But we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the playoffs if the worst comes to the worst. But for now, thank you very much for the support. Getting 3 likes a minimum is fantastic for my channel, and any more for either this or Le Mans will be very appreciated. But for now, thank you and goodbye.